In this episode, we'll be discussing Secret Invasion Episode 3. Here's your spoiler warning.
Welcome to the Point 3 Podcast, Season 1, Episode 9. We're dissecting and reviewing the latest episode drop from Marvel's newest superhero action spy thriller series, Secret Invasion.
Today we will be diving into the third episode of this thrilling show, and I'm joined by two fellow enthusiasts, Funko Lou, Hero Scroll, and myself, Spider Brando. Well, let's get into a quick recap. So, we got to see Fury meeting young Gravik. Gravik setting the explosions off in Russia. We learn that Skrulls have infiltrated the ranks of major world powers. Rhodey fires Nick Fury in a shock. Gaia sees the doctors and Super Skrull machines. We find out Nick Fury is married to the Skrull Vara. I think what works is the thriller psychological aspect to it. It gave off some little psychological thriller vibes with just the whole still like who to trust, who's a Skrull. I loved the museum scene with Talos and Gravik having their moral dialogue. Yeah, I'm a sucker for moral dilemmas and dialogues and shows. Favorite being the Daredevil Punisher rooftop scene.
Ooh.
I did a philosophy project on that whole scene. Oh, beautiful.
Goated.
And we got a little glimpse of that with Talos and Gravik talking about their different viewpoints, why Talos had joined Gravik pretty much, and you got to really see like how awesome of a villain Gravik is.
For me, something that personally worked is they continue to also play the fact that Talos and Nick Fury are the same person. There's everybody saying how they're a shell of the person they once were, how most everybody kind of betrays them. The only one that hasn't in this case is Gaia with Talos. But even Nick Fury's wife, the Skrull Vara, you can tell that there's more to her than what initially we saw in episode 2. So I love the fact that they just keep playing with that, and it seems like each episode is really going to center, if they continue with this, each episode will center around either Nick Fury or Talos. So, for example, episode 4 will be Nick Fury-centric. Episode 5 will be a little bit more Talos, like we saw in this one, and then episode 6 will probably be a culmination, like episode 1, which I'm all for.
Dude, I feel like they definitely added a little bit more of they kind of like flipped the script in a way from, I think Gravik in the first couple episodes felt more of like your radical guerrilla warfare style resistance kind of group, right? Where he's just like that basement leader guy. But like as time is going on, there's more layers to him. And I think Spider Brando, you had mentioned it, like the president. Maybe he is simmed the president of the United States and he's the person who's infiltrated the highest ranks. You saw when they made him general, right? Like the guy commands a room. He's this special little, I'll call him like a Skrull Mozart kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like when they first introduced him last episode, you knew something was special about him. But in this episode, what worked was Gravik again. 3 for 3. Like this guy has not missed. Kingsley Benadire is fantastic, but he's just, his screen presence is fantastic. And I think Nick Fury, if you weren't a Nick Fury fan before this show, you're most likely a Nick Fury fan now. And every character, for as much as this episode didn't have as much action, you still want to know what's coming next for everyone. There's not one person on here that I'm like, even who's a Beto, or the one guy, the first refugee that we saw that guy let in into New Scrollos. I want to know what he's doing. I'm like, man, something, maybe you're the one. I actually thought that he was the one who's leaking the information along with Gaia. I always thought that she was kind of on it. But no, man, dude's like, all right, let's infiltrate the naval base. Let's go. We're doing it.
No questions. No, I like... Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the last thing to that, the stakes. I'm never one who's really big on like, if we don't stop the ticking time bomb, then the world's gonna end. I believe Gravik when he's like, nope, like we're exterminating all humans and we're definitely gonna do it, and we can.
No, you kind of hit along the lines of what I was gonna say.
My
Where
bad.
no, you're fine. Where the stakes are real, and it's like every episode so far has felt like a threat in its own each way. And the cool thing is about the end of the episode where Gaia seemingly ruins Gravik's plans, and he's like, "No, it isn't a failure. I found out who the traitor was." And boom, that you realize that was kind of his intent. So he still succeeds. So he hasn't failed at all. But another thing that I really, really like in each episode is how each time you notice that Talos doesn't really believe that Gravik is wrong deep down. Because in this episode, they straight up tell you that, in that conversation Nick Fury has before they go and infiltrate Ben, he's like, "Hey, why aren't you with him?" And he says, "Because I'm with you." He doesn't really deny the fact that he thinks Talos is wrong or Gravik is wrong or what he thinks is too extreme. He just tells him, "I'm with you. That's the only reason, and that's all you need." It's such an interesting dynamic where Talos is in the middle and he's kind of being pulled by each direction because of his moral compass leading him towards knowing we shouldn't really exterminate a whole race because we know what that feels like, to, well, these are my people though,
Yeah.
and I have to do it for them. I should be doing it for them.
He kind of had that though in Captain Marvel, and now where you almost get the sense that Talos is taking a position of the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but like a lighter version of that in a way. I still think that in the very end, there's going to be a crossroad in this where Talos has to choose between his people and Fury. And I think deep down, especially if Gaia's involved, which we can touch on in a second, if she will even be involved, who knows? Something happened, but I think he'll choose. I think he'll choose. When it comes to his daughter and it comes to his people, they've shown us already in the first almost 3 hours of the show that Talos is still he's someone who's loyal, but loses first loyalty.
Anytime someone even put Guy's name in their mouth, man, it was freaking up in their business. So I know that's his daughter, but his daughter's a Skrull. At the end of the day, he's gonna protect his family.
Isn't Fury doing the same thing though?
Yeah, and that's the whole morality duality behind this.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm getting ready for it. It's almost right there.
Yeah, Fury obviously wanted to save his people and Earth. Talos wanted to do the same thing and save his people after a promise of them being able to live there, and that promise being broken a little bit or taking a little longer due to unforeseen circumstances. But it's just like a whole ethical dilemma. Like both sides, I feel, could easily live in peace, but it's just I can't even say that. It's freaking crazy, man. Like just think if this was happening today. There's just like a million random alien people on Earth right now that we have no idea about. That's freaking nuts. And they could just like shapeshift into a president and then boom. That is insane to think about.
Yeah. So what's going to happen when they do figure it out? I really do believe by the end of this show that the common people are going to know that they're among you kind of thing, right? Your neighbor, something like that. I still feel like they're really, really, really teeing up to this whole mutants thing.
Yep.
Of you have to register. Fine, you can live with us, but you have to register with the government. Scroll registration, and because of that, they're gonna discover mutants, and that's gonna be the next thing. And people are gonna be so paranoid that they're going to be the minority on this planet. Who else knows? An alien came down and snapped us away. Now they're living among us. Now they're like, it'll be chaos.
It's just a normal week in 2025.
Complete chaos in the MCU world right now.
Doesn't it feel like it's bubbling though?
It does, and it feels like they're leading up to something beyond the multiverse stuff. It feels like they're leading up to something big on planet Earth. Maybe that is what leads up to the events of Captain America: New World Order or Brave New World. I could definitely see it because it feels like that kind of threat more so. Like I don't think Cap is going to be on the multiverse, response team. He
Why
definitely feels
not?
like
Why
a
not? Why not? Yeah, why not?
why not?
Yeah, I'm just playing. He has no
Oh
business.
no, you got cut off for me for a second.
Oh yeah, I was just joking. Like, why not? Like, people are like, we need the
Oh,
Avengers. I'm like, I'm
I
sorry, but the Avengers right now, it's just
the Avengers are everywhere, and they're so fragmented that they're not going to be a part of. Not every member is going to be a part of that, and Sam's Cap still has to establish himself a little more as Cap before he just leads a multiverse response unit.
yeah.
But
That may should not be touching the multiverse. Like,
not right now.
I don't
And
know.
that's not as a like character like hate towards him. It's just there's other stuff I feel like he can do better at. Like even Doctor
Yeah.
Strange, for example, I don't want Doctor Strange touching more multiverse stuff. I think he should be elsewhere in like more magic stuff, more magic oriented places.
Real quick to this, because I know that we got a rumor drop about the MCU Illuminati potentially coming up soon. But I did want to take a second and step back to Talos and Fury in the car before they got to Robert's house to disarm the nuclear code and give the code word. I thought it was very interesting that Talos went in on him and said, like, you were just a low-ranking SHIELD guy before I showed up, and I got you the intel. I was infiltrating. I did the espionage. I did the spy. Like, all of your successes came from me and my 19 people. And if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be Nick Fury. And I just thought it was kind of cool in a way from a Talos position to be like, I've only asked one thing of you, and that is to give us a home. We could have taken this place anytime we wanted to, but I respect you enough that I'm not. And it just added more, and for me, it added more weight to the scrolls in this sense. To be like, they've had so much restraint for so long, and now it's to that boiling point where they're starting to take matters into their own hands. And it's spooky because they can get the job done. And this end finale, I don't know how they're going to do it. I truthfully don't know. If the Super Scroll initiative from Gravik works, and they have 5, 6, 7 of them, what is Nick Fury going to do? What is Talos going to do?
Call the Avengers that are MIA. And that leads to Brave New World. New World. New invaders. Boom.
Man.
That's my theory.
Okay.
It's a good theory. It is. It's just with Secret Invasion, I don't know if they're gonna expand beyond where this is right now. Like for example, Loki at the end of it expanded into more stuff. I don't know if Secret Invasion is gonna be that. It feels more self-contained right now. And heck, I mean, at the end of it, who knows? Maybe I would love to be wrong and this just keeps going. That they're still like, hey, there's scrolls out there. This was just, the initial, this was the phase 1 of the scroll invasion, I would absolutely love that. Yeah, it's interesting to see all the way that the scrolls interact with Nick Fury, how even Vara, his wife at first was like, I just became, when he's asking her, like questioning her about who she is, and she gets upset at him. And she's like, I just became who I used to be. And for Nick Fury, that makes sense. But as for us as a viewer, it's like, well, what is that?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Where does your loyalty lie? And then they continue to throw doubt in that towards the end of the episode. Like, what's going on? Who is she? It's just nice to see how they continue to play with that plot point.
Yo, what if she was Agent Carter? What if she's the power broker or something?
I hate the power broker idea already, so
I know, me too.
I don't know if that would save that at all.
No, I feel like that'd be a really big stretch.
You got to think though, she has influence, right? She's a part of the government. She's got to be somewhere.
In Madripoor, though?
I don't think it'd be too far-fetched if she was a Skrull, she's willing to do that, infiltrate, blend, still has what else? Does anyone really want to see Agent Carter come back and she's like, "Oh, I'm still doing stuff and blah 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 blah." I'd rather have her be a Skrull and be like, "I've just been this the whole time. It's been me."
That would make a little more sense for her weird character change of her just being like, "Yay, I'm doing this for my country," to being like, "I hate everybody." It would explain it a little better, but I don't know if that's one of those ideas that I just don't. I think a lot of people didn't like, including
Sorry,
myself.
man. You could just take my idea and throw it in the garbage. It's fine. It's no, no. A 20-minute marker. Just garbage tape.
I wouldn't mind seeing this series lead into Thunderbolt stuff. I wouldn't mind, because they could easily just be like, we'll take the more like, I'll make your outlandish one my like what do we call it? The more reasonable one.
Sure.
Where I'll change it to, instead of it being Skrulls, I could genuinely see Nick Fury being like, "Hey, we need a Black Ops team to handle this kind of stuff, like off paper, so that way it doesn't get out there in the news." And then he kind of forms the Thunderbolts.
I mean, if Gravik is the main villain of Thunderbolts, sign me up. Take my money.
That'll be heat.
Take it. Because again, dude, how does Gravik lose at this point, and how does Fury win? And I wholeheartedly could see the end fight is Talos versus Gravik, and he's just like, "All right, juice me up with whatever you guys got," and it's too much, and it kills him because he can't handle it. And Fury is like, "Yeah, I can't call the Avengers because I don't trust anyone. Rhodey's a Skrull. I need people that I can trust." I'm probably going to say Val's good, and Fallsworth and Val and Fury and all them go way back. And like, we need a new squad that like is off the radar. Good point. Did we just make the movie better?
We did. We made the movie just must watch. You just need Gravik as your villain. And for this series to set up Thunderbolts.
Would Gravik be the first villain to survive a Disney Plus show and then go to movies?
Technically, yes, right?
Well, I guess you have
He
Wanda.
Who Remains is.
I was gonna say technically
different from Kang, but this is still very. I don't know.
Technically yes, but technically no.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I will wholeheartedly say, I hope that he does survive. I would like to see his next step and his next big move. I almost feel like it's kind of like, I know I keep saying My Hero Academia, and I don't mean to, but kind of like All for One-ish.
What if? Ooh. I'm cooking. Hold on. The steam is coming out. I was going to say, what if instead, they beat him, but he doesn't die. So he's like, all right, I need to set my sights on something else. And he goes after the Kree. And
like Off-World?
Yeah, the Marvels. They make a few more Super Skrulls. They go after the Kree.
I would be okay with that.
Tie that into the Marvels, maybe. That might be a little out there, but I don't know.
I mean, I think that's probably the most in there thing, but
because you would think he'd want revenge on the Kree as well.
Man, he pulls up the squad.
I don't know.
Well, okay,
It's gotta
here's
get a lot of technology to create some freaking
Wakanda.
space. Yeah, that's true. Wakanda. I was eating my words as I was saying that. Oh, like, there's so much that they can do on there.
Lou
With
was like
Barbie.
shoving them back in there. He was like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we don't necessarily know Saber's capabilities though. I mean, if that's like the little like Death Star-ish, you know, who knows what that could do?
Maybe they're going after Saber.
Potentially. Pull Fury off of it so you can get in there. I mean, I don't know if you're really worried about him, but no one's protecting it. I can't think of anyone else. There are a bunch of other scrolls that were on it, right? In the post-credit scene, wasn't that?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't really be able to.
Because that's I can't think of any. That's the only thing I was thinking of. Sword, Saber, and you have the Department of Damage Control, who I also thought had Cole Obsidian. Maybe I'm way off on that. Maybe they haven't shown that yet. But that's the other piece. If the scrolls have infiltrated the DODC, I think that is massive trouble. Because
you would almost think they have, though.
They would have to. I mean, that would kind of explain why they're always in everybody's business and they hate all of the potential Avengers characters, right? But if anyone has the most tech on Earth outside of Wakanda, it probably is them. Because remember, they're the ones that showed up in New York in Homecoming. They were the ones who wanted all the Chitauri tech and all the alien stuff. They obviously had a way to contain Abomination. Like, that's who I probably want to be with. They're probably the one group who could most likely stop the Avengers.
It would explain why they try so hard in Miss Marvel to go after those Bengals.
Yep.
Maybe they know something about them.
Maybe the Skrulls should stick around a little bit longer and be the main villains of this phase. I'm almost more interested in that than like a Kang story. I'll take Kang on our side.
They could have, if they set this up right, they could have made them the big bads for a while, for a long time. But it really seems they don't. I don't know if Marvel doesn't have faith in them, or I don't know what it is. But Marvel clearly wants to make it more of the multiversal. You know, they've clearly even dubbed it the Multiverse Saga. So it's kind of like just because of what they've said, it doesn't really seem like they want them to stick around too much. But they could. It's a weird limbo.
It just feels so weird to think that they're gonna resolve 1,000,000 scrolls living on Earth by the end. 3 more episodes. Like, or are they gonna? I don't know. I think my out there take, the scrolls are staying for a while, just subtly. Like, we'll see.
I'm kind of believing in the Secret Wars thing just a little bit more. Of Secret Wars isn't like comic run Secret Wars. Secret Wars is scrolls have been everywhere and you don't know who's who and you are fighting anyone. Can you imagine how wild that would be though? Anyone in 616 could be a hero or a villain. Plus you pull in the multiverse. I don't know who's who.
Is that what leads to the incursions? Because, I mean, here's the thing, though. They've clearly set up, though, incursions, multiverse stuff. So it's hard to just be like, I'm going to throw that away. Yeah, I'm going to throw all that away. Not when, like, 3 movies have already said incursions.
All right. Skrull King is the ultimate big bad of phase this saga.
Is there not a Skrull King, though, in that Ant-Man post scene?
I thought that there was. I mean, that was like a zoom and enhance kind of moment.
I mean,
big Skrull war.
Dude, I love
Deadpool's got to take him on.
I love this. I love the scrolls now. Like,
I do.
I don't know.
I do. It is very fun.
They could do so much on the freaking Earth level with them. Like, it's just insane.
They're just strong enough that they can interact with like street level characters, but they're cosmic enough that they can still play in that realm too.
They can play with anybody.
Mhm.
Honestly, they and you see that is why it is okay that the directors didn't read the comics.
That's fair. That's a valid point. Feels very
I feel like the
MCU.
comics are like the blueprint of the freaking where they could go in the future. Oh man, I want scrolls to run Phase 5 now.
Thanks for tuning into this episode from the Point 3 podcast. Don't forget to join us next Wednesday on our YouTube live stream around 8:30 Eastern, where we're going to be discussing the latest news, reviews, and insider scoops. Also, catch the full episode of our podcast anywhere where you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. If you're seeking more Secret Invasion, more reviews, more good or bad takes, let us know your thoughts over at the Point 3 Podcast on Instagram or TikTok. Until then, keep watching, keep reading, and keep nerding out.